Welcome to Travels with Okay, welcome to Travels with Tulsans, sponsored by the Friends of the Tulsa City County Library. My name is Dorothy Minor. I have the honor of being the friend. We're so glad to have you join us for the 7th of our 2023 Travels with Tulsans. If you would like more information about becoming a friend of the library, ask somebody who's doing a volunteer card or find the information over here on the counter. Be sure to be with us next week when Bob Leeser with the Tulsa Global Alliance will I don't want to cover that. It's okay. Wow, we have quite a crowd. Thank you all for coming out, and I especially see so many of my friends here. I'm just so surprised to see them here. And I also like to welcome my friends on Zoom. I know several couldn't come, so they're watching us on Zoom. Like this? Oh, okay. So did you hear what I said? Okay. Well, today I'm privileged to talk to you about Germany, and particularly Northern Germany. And as you can see the map, Germany is surrounded by 9 countries, and a lot of people, they travel to Germany. But when they travel to Germany, where do they go? Go to Bavaria, so they go to Munich, they go to Frankfurt, Berchtesgaden, Mittenwald, Stuttgart maybe, and maybe up north to Berlin. But do you ever hear anybody say, oh, I'm going to Hamburg? And Hamburg, that's where I was born. Okay, here's a little plate, and it shows the 16 different Länder or states And which is the biggest state? It's Bavaria. Bavaria, and then the smallest one is Hamburg. But Hamburg is unique because it's a city, but it's also a state. Okay, here's the map. As you can, let me see if I can get the pointer to work. Yeah. So here's Hamburg. I'll be talking a little bit about that. Then last year, I took a trip up to Büsum, and this is the Wattenmeer. And I'll show you some pictures. Then another year, I went to Cuxhaven into Neuwerk. Elbe River, the Elbe. The Elbe flows into the North Sea. Okay, so I was asked to say a little bit about living in Germany. And so I have to start with World War II. The Germans, the war started in 1943. The Germans attacked England, the city of Covington, and Manchester, and London. So in retaliation, they were going to, the British and the Allied forces were going to attack Hamburg because of the U-boat pins and the oil refineries and the shipbuilding. And so they studied the weather. It was very hot in July. And so they said, we're going to burn that city down. We're going to drop all these incendiary bombs. And so it started on the night of July 1943. I was born in May 1943. But I want to read you this, or you can read along with me. I got this from a book that I have. Among the words for incendiary bombs, which ignited on impact and spread fire everywhere, I saw people tearing off their clothes that caught fire, the survivor recalled. And when the Allied bombers dropped incendiaries in quantity and in typical rate, 500,000 were dropped, they generated firestorms. And these moving towers of flame reached a mind-boggling 1,800 degrees Fahrenheit and tore through the streets with a shrill howl that one German remembered as terrible music. And so 3/4 of Hamburg was destroyed, and 50,000 people were killed, and many, many more left homeless. And 80,000 phosphorus bombs were dropped, along with napalm and regular bombs. I got this from Home Front. So at this time, my father was gone. All the men from Hamburg were gone to war. And so my mom, my sister was 6 years old, and my grandmother, we had to leave Hamburg. All the women and children were ordered to leave Hamburg. So here, this is not a picture of my mother, but that's how my mother, she piled the baby carriage full with different things like bags and suitcases, and I was put in a stroller. They had to don the fire mask, and you see he has a fire mask on, looks pretty scary. And my sister also, she was 6 years old at that time. She had to wear one. They all had to wear one. And they put 2 damp diapers on my face to keep me protected. So we had to go to a train station that was quite a ways away. And as I was told, we had to follow the path where was a canal, and on the right-hand side were burning houses. And so they had hoses on the ground to extinguish the flames on the houses. And so to go that path, they had to go over all those houses. And my sister, she still said, that was so hard and took forever to go. And finally, after an hour, they got to the train station, and they checked me again, and my face was all black, full of the soot from the fire. But I was alive, I was still breathing. So then we went to southern Germany, and we stayed there for 2 years, 1945. And then we came back to Hamburg. And lo and behold, our apartment building was still standing. And we used to live up here on the fourth floor, and then the rooms were going backward. And we had a balcony in the back. And opposite this street, on the other side, all the houses were destroyed. I remember playing on the rubble and seeing what neat things I could find. Okay, let's see. Then I started school, and this is the school I attended. It's called the Hamburg. And last year I was there with my sister and friends. We were in school together there in the 50s, Marion. And as you continue on from my street, you come into the Kumühlenteich. And there's one view of it and another view, and then I'm going to show you the pointer. No, go back. Now, see, there's the train. It's kind of like a metro, U-Bahn going across. But I'm showing you the lake because it used to freeze over in the winter, and I went ice skating there. And then behind the trees here, right here, all along there are benches, and my mom used to take me and my brother there, and she would knit and crochet, and my brother and I would play ball. And also behind the trees, there's a one-way street, and it has a real neat smooth surface, and sometimes I would block off that street and we would go roller skating. And it was so fun. So I really enjoyed my life in Hamburg growing up because we had sidewalks everywhere, so I could walk everywhere. If I wanted to take U-Bahn or S-Bahn, Metro, I would just explore, go to the port, go all over. So I loved it. But also in the early 50s, it was very hard in Hamburg, economy-wise, because of the after the war rebuilding and everything. And at that time, a lot of Germans, they immigrated to the United States. So we had lots of friends that we knew that moved to the United States. Even my father's brother moved on to Canada. So my dad had kind of a hard time too. And so he said, well, I'm going to sign up. And so he registered, and I continued. I knew that maybe eventually we would move to the United States. How fun. And I continued my education until the 8th grade. And in 1957, our number came out and said, we can go to the United States. Yay. And you had to have a sponsor in order to immigrate. And so our sponsor lived in Syracuse, New York. So we left Bremerhaven and with a big passenger ship, Italia. Then we landed in New York City in 1957 in July 22nd. A very hot day. It was in the 90s. I couldn't believe that weather. Anyway, so that is how I got here. And now I'm going to continue with some other slides from over in Hamburg. Okay, see that train, that U-Bahn. So this was pretty close to where I used to live. And this then is the canal, and this goes into the outer Alps, the Eister River. I mean, no, not a river, it's a lake. And it's really pretty. Okay, so last year when I went and visited Germany and also Hamburg, I attended a family wedding. And in Germany, you can get married in the civil ceremony, and then you have a church ceremony. Well, this couple got married in 2019, but then they couldn't have the church ceremony because then COVID started. And then I couldn't get married in 21, and finally last year they were able to have the church wedding. So it was held at this church, and it's dated back to 1751. And here you can see some of them. This is me sitting here. And so we're waiting for the couple and some other people to come in. And this was the wedding party. And I'm in the front. And this was a happy couple. And afterwards, we all went as an Alpstedt tour on these ships. And we went all around the Alpstedt, and it's so fun. And this Alpstedt is surrounded by, think of the Arkansas River, you know, the running path and all of that. On one side, it's like that to it. And you can do all sorts of boating. You don't have to go swimming, but you also do other recreational activities there. And I wanted to show you this. After we got back from our taking the Alpstedt tour, we had a fabulous spread of food. But I wanted to show you this because I'm sure you would never find this on any table here. These are these little fish. They're bigger than sardines, but smaller than herring, and they're called sputtons. And so they were delicious. And I was raised on fish, and so I had some of these fish. Okay, now I'm going to mention just something about Hamburg. Hamburg was founded in 1820, so it's an old city. And about the population, it's about double of that of Tulsans, and same about the size. Hamburg is bigger than Tulsans. And this is a little bit of historical. It's a Freie Hansestadt Hamburg, and you can always abbreviate HH, like on the license tag. When you see HH in German, you know that's somebody from Hamburg. And Hansestadt is like from the trade Hanseatic League, and so Hanse is Hamburg was a Hanse city, and so that's and then Hamburg. The second one is second age. And they refer to as Hamburg as the gateway to the world, and that's because you're located near the Elbe River, and on one side the Elbe flows to the North Sea, and then you can get canal and it goes to the Baltic Sea, and of course they then go into the Atlantic Ocean. And shipping is the major industry there. And since 1321, Hamburg joined the Hanseatic League, and this was made of the northern German towns, and they banded together for their commercial, but especially defensive trading protection, because at that time they had pirates, and so they would attack the ships. So they had the Hanseatic League, so kind of like forced to deal with them. And there are several things that are very unique to Hamburg. And some of these I will show pictures. Well, in Hamburg, we have a Hafenfest. You always hear about the Oktoberfest. Well, we don't really celebrate it up in Hamburg. It's mainly Bavaria. We're all big for the Hafenfest because the Hafen is the port, and, you know, Hamburg began in the 800s, and the port has been there many years, so it's now the 834th. They didn't have it in 20 and 21, in the fall of 22. So it's actually more than 834, but now fully operated May, the first weekend in May. So everybody, all the ships will have a parade, and you can go on some of the ships and take trips. It's really neat. Okay, the next thing is the miniature Wonderland exhibit. And this is very unique. I have not seen it, but I've seen lots of pictures and hear people talk about it. You've been there. Wow, supermarket. It's the only one of its kind, and it's like it started out as a railroad presentation, and you know, like models, but now they added ships to it, then added airplanes to it, they added cities, they have hundreds and thousands of people, and they have different cities, they go international now, they have countries, so they have all different areas. It's really a super kind of exhibit. Then the Hamburger Dome. This is kind of like a fun fair, and it happens 3 times a year. And then we have the Reeperbahn, St. Pauli Reeperbahn, and they have an annual festival in September. And then this right here, Hamburg has the most bridges of Europe, 2,500. And this is very unique. Hamburg is the caretaker of its swans. Swans are everything to Hamburg. And it goes back to the 16th century. You take good care of our swans, and they have a swan father who takes care of them. Then we have the Ohlsdorf Cemetery. I love going there. It's so amazing, so peaceful, and it's the largest park cemetery in the world. And then if you're from Hamburg, if you say homo homo, somebody will answer morse morse. That's our secret code. And instead of hi, you'll say moin. So it's kind of like abbreviation of morning, say moin. And then the Elbphilharmonie concert hall, it's the landmark, and it's supposed to have one of the best concert halls in the world. The Rathaus, the city hall, is also beautiful. I'll show you some pictures of all of these. Then Jungfernstieg, that's the earliest paved street in Germany in 1838. You know, it's on the Binnenalster, before we saw pictures of the outer Alster. And then we have the Treppenviertel in Blankenese. And in Blankenese, it's like blank nose, you know. And so they have stairs, Treppen is stairs. So you have this little area that has over 5,000 stairs there. And the Willkommenhöhe is in Schulau. And this is fascinating. My grandmother used to take me there. And from sun up to sundown, ships coming down the Elbe River, they greet the ship. They find out the nationality of the ship. They dip our Hamburg flag to it. And then they play the anthem of that, national anthem of that country, and also give the greeting in that language. And so they have 5 different captains working there, doing that every day. And then this one, Hamburg has the highest number of millionaires in Germany. And then we have fantastic shopping with the Alsterhaus and Europapassage and a lot of little boutiques. Okay, if you were coming to visit as a tourist, this is the area you would go and visit. You have the outer Alster, the inner Alster, and then you have the different, where you see blue, that's the different slates or canals, and then down here you have where all the port is. And up here, these are Plantenblumen and just all different areas. That's the area you would concentrate on. Okay, now, you know, in Tulsa, you have the penguins, they're all over. Well, we have this little guy here, the Homo figurine, and he's dressed up different, painted differently, and he was like way back a water carrier because the water was really bad, and so he brought water to the people. And supposedly his last name was Homo, but they're not certain. But then some of the other kids, they were taunting him, and one of them pulled down his pants. And so he answered, Morse, Morse, which is actually your ass, you know. Okay, here we have the dome. And this is the fun fair. Our family, we used to go there. Just think of, you know, our Tulsa State Fair, and with a fun fair there. It's lots of rides. and just some booths, a little bit like the Christian Market kind of, I call that. And it happens in 3 times, like in April and August and November. It's a fun time. And now here we have our swan on the ice there. And here's the swan father. So every November, he picks up the swans and takes them back to that little Schwanenviertel. And when the swan gets sick, he takes care of it. It's been going on since the 16th century, and that job is passed on. It's kind of from your father to the son and so on. And then, so in November, they're picked up and they come back out in March. And it's always a big thing. If they come out in March, they know spring is on its way. All right, so here you have, this is the outer Eiste, this is the inner Eiste, and here we have a canal. And then looking the other direction, there it goes towards the harbor. Here is the Elbphilharmonie. And there's another, the Eiste, the Inneneiste has a fontaine going, so you always know you're in that area. And then right here, all businesses. Whereas the outer Eiste, they have more recreational and nice things. This is more an area for businesses, companies. This I have to show you. See right here, it says Hapag-Lloyd, and it's a global container shipping company. And the reason I'm always so excited, this is also, they have ships, and then they have lots of containers on it. And when Angie, my daughter, worked in Seattle, she was working on the 32nd floor overlooking the harbor, and she was writing, "Mom, I just saw a Hapag-Lloyd ship." And so you see lots of containers on these ships and also on railroads. And you know what? Now that you know about it, you will see them in Tulsans. And they cross Denver, you know, that bridge, the different freight trains. You will see a Hapag-Lloyd, and they say, "Yeah, I know where they come from." Yeah. All right, this is some more of the Eiste. And here is the Eiste House. It's a really neat upscale department store. So, and then these are restaurants on the side. There are little other places you can eat. One thing, you're never without a place to eat. They have little places. That's when they come over here. Where can we go and just have coffee? Or, I mean, there's Panera, but they have all sorts of little places, really nice places with just some cakes and torten and or sandwiches, really neat. Okay, and then they always have places to sit to. That was last year, and the weather was kind of cloudy. But so this was also in the same area on the side where the restaurant was, and they have places like this even on the harbor and the hafen. You just able to sit. And then here we have on the other side of the inner Eiste, look at these arcades. These are the Eiste Arcaden. They're really pretty, kind of like Florence. Yes, but some of these areas were not destroyed. It was destroyed more towards the port, kind of here and there. Some of it has been rebuilt and some of it was not destroyed. Okay, and here we have our fonts again. And under the Arcaden, we have nice stores and again, nice little restaurants. And we have all different kinds of architecture. So this one on the left is the Marco Polo Tower. And this is an apartment building. And this is the Unilever house, and that is the business. The Paris on the background. This is the Mönckebergstrasse. It's just the beginning of it here, but it's a very great shopping street. But I want to show you. See this right here, the U, and over here the S. And this designates that it's a station for a metro, for trains, but not the real regional train, but just something to get around. And they have stations like that all over. Okay, and here again, see, here's the U. That means it started out as Untergrundbahn, but it goes above ground too, so it's not really. But down here, you see the H, and that means it's a bus stop. So you have the U, the F, and the H, and they're all over town, so you can take the mass transportation. And we also have, I don't know if I have a slide on that. No, but this is just shows the picture of a train. But we also have something like Uber, only we call it Moya, and it's kind of like a VW van. You call them up and they come and pick you up if you're at a hotel. They don't come to the hotel, but they come at a close by that area, and they also pick up other people. So the fare is less than, but he's taken it several times too. When you come home at 2 or 3 in the morning after partying, you just call Maya. And this is Planten and Blumen. And again, it's the name Planten, plants and flowers, bloom. And see the fountain at night, this is lit up in different colors and it goes in different directions to the music. Very pretty, and it has lots of pretty flowers, all sorts of plants and trees and shrubs. This now is our city hall. It's kind of neo-Renaissance, and it has a nice courtyard. You don't see, but it's really nice courtyard in here. In this big area, in the wintertime, that's where they have the Christkindl market. And this black area, that's where you have some small stores. Yeah. And here's some other closed up stuff. And this is what the inside looks like. It's really nice too. In here. And downstairs they have a real neat cellar, and they have typical Hamburg and German food. Really nice. It's open to the public. You can just walk in there and wander around. There's just certain rooms are off limits because they're in session. The government is in session there. Okay. This is also in front of it. But what I want to show you, I'm fascinated by this. See these two figures here. Now there is a space in between. How do they do that? It's some kind of magnet. He's holding, that's my sister here. But you see these in big cities there. And I'm always, see, she's just sitting and holding onto this stick. But how can she balance? I don't know. Yeah, they're real people. Yeah, see, he's hugging my sister. Yeah. Now we come to St. Pauli is a district, and then the Reeperbahn. This is almost like a red light district, but they clean it up, and so now it has a lot of neat restaurants, all sorts of music venues, and surely this is where the Beatles, became famous. There is the Beatles Square even, and they have the 4 different in metal. They have the sculptures of the Beatles, and also with the instruments. They performed there from 60 to 62, and they really honed their craft there, because when they got there, they were just young boys. And John Lennon is supposed to have said, well, I was born in Liverpool, and I became a man in Hamburg. And also, you know, the Beetle haircut, that was by one of the ladies at Estate. She suggested that they do that to be unique and let's stay with them. So they got it from Hamburg. And also they produced their first record in Hamburg. And I don't know what's happening now. It doesn't. No, and another screen came up here. Tara? It just, okay. All right. So here we have two tall structures. The TV tower, you can see all over Hamburg. Whenever you're in any area, you always see that point, 960, 16 feet high. And the other one that's really tall is a church. You just call it the Micha. It's the St. Michael's Church. And I'll show you. This is you can climb the tower, you can take an elevator up, and this is really close to the harbor. You get a really good view. And this is on the inside. It's beautiful. It's the largest, it seats 2,500 people. All right, this is now a picture of the harbor. It's kind of dated because up in this area, that's where the Alpha is going to be built. But I like it. I was looking for a picture that shows the canal and also the warehouses, and then up here the Hafen or the port. And you take a train there again, and this is typical of the port. This ship right here is always there. Rickman, and you can, it's like a museum ship, and you can go aboard and you can just check out what the rooms are like, everything. They let you walk all over. And this is our ship. That's the AIDA. And it's a cruise ship. It goes all over the world. And when it's not in some other country or on a cruise, it's always anchored in Hamburg. Yeah. Okay, now here is the Elf Philharmony, and they just call it the Elfie. And they try to make the roof resemble waves. And here there is a beautiful concert hall, has fantastic acoustics, supposed to be one of the best one in the world. And there are also some apartments, 46 apartments are in here, and also restaurants. And this was last year, I was standing in front of it. And this is the concert hall. And you can go online and you can just Google it, and they will give you some sound, you know, a little bit of what it sounds like in there. Yeah. Okay, now we come to the Speicher step. Speicher is kind of like a warehouse, and they're continuous. No. Okay. This one right here. See, they're all connected, and then with bridges. And so you can go on canal tours, and then they go through all of these. Here's another one over there. And here's where you find the Modell Eisenbahn Wunderland, the model train station. It's in one of those warehouses. And this is, I found one picture, what is in, they're continually adding to it. There's just thousands of all different things. Now they're expanding to other countries, so when you go there, it's going to be amazing. You need to make a reservation way in advance too. That's why I have them been there yet because I never know exactly. I'm going to be there on this certain day, but maybe when I go this year in June, maybe. See all the cars. They have lots of cars, and you can also see it when you Google it. You can get a little video of it, and you see planes taking off. And I thought that looks just like your airport. You don't even know it's a model plane. They did. Great, great. Yeah, and I saw that they're adding some other countries to it now too. Okay, also in this bike is that you have different museums now. Some of those warehouses, they're converted into apartments, some of them are museums. And here we went to a spice museum, and they had all the different spices, and one of them is my sister, carpet. They trade carpets, so they in certain areas, and they have a tea house. And look, they had all these different condiments, different sweeteners you could add to your tea. And I had to take a picture of this. These were children, but look at these. They had made all different designs. These are actually two pictures. I just took them from my photo album. But these are bricks, and they made different designs for them. They actually kind of, stick out a little. It doesn't really show up. But I thought, oh, that is so cool. It's really different doing that with bricks. Okay, now you can go on the harbor tour. I had a little sound video, but I'm glad I wasn't planning to play because it wouldn't have worked. And you go on the harbor tour and you pass by all these big ships. Fun. And this is when you have the Hafen Pass. All sorts of ships come from all over, and it's like a ship parade. And here I wanted to show you how these buildings, they're all connected, but they have old ones, destroyed ones, so they added modern ones to it. And it's also where all the warehouses are. And then this house, look at it. It's what does it resemble? A ship boat. And it's actually a business building. It's kind of, somehow my pictures, they're all looking different here, all kind of students. And it's called the Chile House. And it's actually like Chile, the country, because the man who owned this property, he got all his money, made it in Chile. And so he had this building built and called it the Chile House. Okay, here I was eating in a restaurant and I looked out the window and I said, oh my goodness, the tide is going out. This is all muddy. And so that this was around 6-ish, 7-ish at night. And so that's where you have tide going in and out. And this, I wanted to show you, we have a heath that's a little bit on southeast of Hamburg. These flowers or plants here, heath. And so we would go there on a Sunday afternoon and walk around. All right, so now we go to the Treppenviertel, the Blankenese, and see how it's kind of built up. This is where you have the 5,000 stairs. And these are some of the houses, and a lot of the millionaires and rich people or retired captains, because it's close to the Alps, they live there. And here you see some of the stairs. Here's a close-up of a house. And this one I thought was so cool. There's this guy, he's cleaning his tiles on the roof with a brush, and he just posed class. Hey. I thought that was really neat. Okay, this is the other area where I mentioned they greet the ships coming in, and they do it from sun up to sundown. They play like I said, the country national anthem, and the ships come really close by. And behind here is a restaurant, and so you sit here and watch the traffic go by. It's really neat. Okay, so this was Hamburg. Now we're going up north to Tulsans. And we took the train, waiting for the train here. And I want to show you, this is what the ICE train looks like. But we didn't take that train because we had to take a regional train, and that looks like this. This is my niece, Andrea. And here we are. I had to wear a mask. And now we're coming to the Latin Sea. It extends all along the coast of Denmark, Germany, and the Netherlands. It is the largest tidal flat system in the world. And every 6 hours, the tide comes in, goes out, but it changes, the time changes every year a little bit. So you never know exactly when the tide is coming in and out. So, but then that happens here too, when I was in Martha's Vineyard or in Cape Cod, you know, you're affected by the tide too. But the tide does not go out as far as here. This is where I now on Tulsans, and you see you can walk way out. And what surprises me is you think it's going to be really all muddy, you sink in. No, it's really firm. And they say it's really good for you to walk on the there because of the salt and the nutrients in the sand and so on. And also, Tulsans is about 4 hours south of Denmark. So you're pretty close to Denmark. And here's another picture of how far it goes out. This is probably around 11 o'clock. We have some friends who, here's my niece and my sister and my friends. Here's some tips in addition. And this is what you may find. And they also have a harbor, Tulsans. This is how it's written with the umlaut. Okay, this is something unique. See all these baskets here. And they don't, when they go to the beach or to big meadows, they don't carry blankets. You rent one of these baskets here. They open up and then you sit in it. And here we are sitting, our friends they rent one every year. And here are my sister and I sitting. Okay, well, not last year, but on my other trip, my sister and I, we went to Cuxhaven and then the island Neuwerk. And again, see at the beach, you find these baskets. And, you know, lighthouses, well, here is the Kugelbakken, and this is similar to a lighthouse. So the ships going by on the Elbe, and it gives them direction. Okay, and here in Cuxhaven, you see all the ships coming from Hamburg, then they're coming by Cuxhaven and going on the North Sea, and then eventually to the Atlantic. And every day or every afternoon, every day you see lots of all different nationalities of different Chinese and all different sizes. Okay, now we're going to Insel Neuwerk, and it's located 6 miles north of Cuxhaven. And it's important, it is part of Hamburg. It belongs to Hamburg. It's 70 miles north of Hamburg, but it's part of Hamburg. Okay, now here we are getting ready to leave, and see these are posts to kind of give you a guide. And you go there by horse-drawn carriage, or you can go by horseback, or you can wait till the tide is up. And this was our carriage driver. The same thing happened again, Tara.
So you actually walk to the
You
island?
could walk, if you want to walk for 6 miles, you could do that.
I goes out that far.
What can I do? Okay, so here we are getting ready. There's a number of different horse-drawn carriages that go across to the island. Here you see us. And this is also kind of giving you a guide to where the road, so to speak. So in here, what's this thing on you? Then you get to land there and see it says Bayer und Handelsstadt Hamburg. Bayer und Handelsstadt. And it belongs to Hamburg. And it's since 1299. And also it has a lighthouse that was built in 1300. But the lighthouse is no longer in service, but it's now a youth hostel. So now we are on land and we're going to our hotel. There are 4 hotels on the island. It actually now 33 people only live there. This is the lighthouse that was built in 1310. Yeah. And this is the house where we stayed in Hotel Navy, restaurant from Akka. And on top, we were staying upstairs. And they also had one of those Strandkorb or beach baskets. And we had dinner. Of course, we love fish, and this was a fish dinner. And there are lots of horses. They don't have any cars, but you can go horseback riding, or you can just walk along. And they also found all these amber stones, and I'm wearing one of these. They're not polished yet, it's kind of rough cut. And this is if you go back to the mainland. And see, here's a whole parade of the carriage, they're leaving and they're coming. Okay, now we're getting near the end, but this is an important canal because the ship, they want to go from Hamburg and to go to the Baltic Sea. Instead of going all the way around, they go through this canal. And it's 61 miles long. And see, here's Hamburg. And here's Cuxhaven. And from Brunsbüttel, then they take this route canal here, and this is then the Baltic Sea. And if you ever go to northern Germany, there is Lübeck and all these little towns along here. They're really neat beach towns too. So if you don't want to walk around in the Wattenmeer, but you still want to see the ocean or the Baltic Sea, you can go to this area right here. See, it's not that far from Hamburg. It's really neat. We used to go vacationing there to Timmendorfer Strand and Travemünde. And Lübeck is really a neat town too. You've seen it too? Oh, how cool. This is my friend Marcus. He's actually from Finland. Yeah. And some of you who immigrated, maybe you left from Bremerhaven and take the trip to New York City. So this is my presentation. Thank you. Any questions? Oh, I'm glad. I'm glad you came, Marcus. All right. I didn't hear you. Oh, yes, yes, they had terrible flooding. They asked if there was ever a flooding issue in Hamburg. Yes, several times. That was when I was already living here. But they had terrible, terrible. A lot of the areas were underwater. Yeah. I don't know the exact circumstance, but the storm flew, yeah, several years. It was,
You were growing up. You were aware of the rebuild?
some of it, but you know what? I still remember, there was one street, and I must have been already like 10, 11. That place was still in rubble, and they had tape all around it. They said, don't go near it, there are a lot of dead bodies. I don't know if that was true or not, but everything else was already rebuilt, but except that whole big place. I don't know why that was. Now that I wish I could ask my mom or my dad, and you know, but there you go. No, it was exciting because my whole family came. You know, my sister, my brother, my parents, wherever your parents are, you know,
Yeah.
you're happy. And the people, our sponsors, they were German. And so when I went to school, they had a daughter and she was speaking German and she was my friend. So we attended classes together. So, but understanding the people, I mean, I learned British English. And I was really great in writing and grammar. And I was started school here. I was better in writing or spelling correctly than some of my American friends. But speaking and hearing, understanding, I don't know why British English is so different. I mean, I had trouble with that. That's what they teach. And my teacher always said, Gisele, drop English. You're not very good. Your grades are all going down because you don't have any language ability. Drop it. And my dad said, no, I don't care if you get a low mark. Keep on learning English. Uh-huh.
So all the kids know read English, and all the teaching programs are in the original language. So there's so many Americans in the English program, and they hear English all the time, every day.
They hear it great.
Both. How long was your journey from New York City to Tulsa?
And we came on the train and probably we left in the afternoon and got, from the train. Repeat the question again, please.
From the time that you arrived in New York City
To-
until you got to Tulsa?
No, we went to Syracuse. We went from New York and lived in Syracuse, New York for a number of years. So that train ride was about 4 hours or so. And then our sponsor and his brother and sister and family. So we had a big reception. And I remember the cars were so huge. The Mercury, back in the 50s. Oh, they were like barges. Okay, I lived all across the country. I lived in New York, I lived in Oregon, and I lived in Kentucky, back to New York again. What brought me to Tulsa then was I had a brother, and he went to ORU, and he studied telecommunications. And I was at that time back in Utica, New York, and I used to come to Tulsa and visit in the summertime. And he said, Gisele, I love the heat. All Germans love the sun, He said, why don't you think about moving here? And so I said, okay. I had been in that job for about 10 years and was divorced and was single for 10 years. And I said, sure, why not? And it just so happened that the Northeast campus of Tulsa Community College was new. It started in 79, but I came here in 1980. So I interviewed for the job and they liked me, I guess. They liked it that I was from outside Oklahoma because everybody was from OU or OSU. Plus, the president at that time had traveled numerous times in Germany with a VW van, and he loved going all over Germany. I wanted to. And now my daughter says, Mom, why didn't you teach me German? Well, I wanted to, and she just never was in the mood. But my sister supplied her with lots of lullabies in German and little books, so she had access to all of that. And later on, every once she would go over vocabularies and phrases. And so then she wanted to take it in high school. She went to Booker T, but she was in the IB program that was a very set curriculum. And German was always taught in the morning, and she couldn't take it. So she took Spanish for 4 years.
Very similar to my daughter. And I spoke German with her for the first 2 years. She would understand. She wouldn't talk that much in German, but children spoke English songs. And as soon as she got to daycare, she assumed or basically only spoke the major language, the majority language. So I thought, well, that's some then, I guess. So then she got to OU in biochemistry and said, I'm going to minor in German. And then double major. German is my double major, and language in Spain, Leipzig, and suddenly Darwin.
Wow.
I thought I got failed, but something stuff.
Yeah. Well, my daughter understands a little bit, because her aunts and her cousins still in Germany and so on. And then her husband is, he likes learning languages. And so when they went to Germany but then when you get to Germany now, everybody speaks English. So they were disappointed they didn't have to even speak. Okay, thank you all for coming.
Wonderful job.
Oh, thank you.